Welcome to the show, everyone, and happy Monday. I can't even believe it's already Monday.
Crazy.
Woo-hoo-oo!
We're here.
When you hear that, you know I have Michael Henderson in the house. He's the owner of Tapestry Insurance Group. We're going to talk a little bit about you, but I do want to say hi to everybody out there that's on Facebook, so hi to everybody. And like us and follow us. We're going to share the show. Michael, I would like to talk about you. I had to get a big breath so I could say a lot.
Let's do this.
Yeah. Now, you, first of all, thank you. You have been on the show for 9 years.
Yeah.
But what you do, you love. And what I love about you, too, is that you are a seniors advocate, for sure.
Yeah, we really strive to help our Medicare community, our seniors in general, interpret this crazy thing we call Medicare. And through doing that, we've taken the approach of just educational, and we're not pushing one product or something like that. We represent Medicare Advantage, Medicare supplements, and things that go along with those as well. And the thing with us is really education, because it's very confusing for people.
Oh my God, there are just too many alphabets in the Medicare soup.
Yeah, it's a big bowl of soup.
It really is. And you service the entire Southwest.
Yeah.
And I want you to talk a little bit about how you do all of that.
Yeah, so unfortunately, I'm not that good, so I don't service the entire Southwest myself. But I do have agents that work across the country. So we've got about 200 agents that work out in the communities that they serve locally. And our goal is really to make sure that people are connected with a local agent for that education and for that future customer service. I mean, we can enroll in something, but I call my auto insurance person all the time because I have questions or whatever it might be. And the same thing should be for our health insurance as well, right? You can enroll over the phone, but what's that service going to be like after the fact? Also, does the person that you're enrolling with understand the medical networks in your area and the doctor networks and hospitals and things like that? And I feel that that's very important, because it's not just signing up for a policy, it's using it and making sure you're utilizing it to keep your health.
But understanding it.
Right.
Exactly. That's the biggest thing.
It's huge.
You have talked forever about use someone local, someone local.
Yep.
And unfortunately, you're inundated with a lot of different, especially television, when you see that, and you see these people that you think are going to be the ones that are calling you back, and it just doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
But the worst thing about that is, number one, they're probably going to try and get you into the product that they have, and or once you hang up that phone, that person, you're not going to get a call back from them.
Yeah, a lot of times they rely on the carriers for service, which is fine. All the carriers have a customer service department as well, but it's nice to have connection with that local agent. It just adds to that customer service experience. Sometimes we can help do some small things that you don't have to call the carrier for, and be your local liaison, for that care and for the doctor networks and things like that. Always,
when you've come on, we've always said every day is a Medicare day.
Yes.
And it is every day. And and also with you, with especially seniors, your health issues, they change constantly.
Yep.
So let's say you get 2 new prescriptions, right?
Yep.
Okay, now what do I do?
Yeah. And Medicare annual enrollment, so that time between October 15th and December 7th gets all the noise out there, right? Because that's when you hear all the ads, and that's when people have to change their phone numbers because you're getting too many calls from call centers and stuff. But yeah, and to your point, every day is a Medicare day, because there's you might be retiring, you might be just turning 65 in the middle of the year, and on all those times, we still need to get those people the service and the education that they need to make a good decision. Now,
when you work with people, you can call him at 480-847-0701, and this is a free service to you.
Yep.
Right? It is a free service, so it really just makes sense. And I think that most people don't realize, and I know we've talked about this too, that there are not people out there like you.
Yeah. People don't realize that we're out here. They think there are some services where you pay for this information and things like that, but we are licensed insurance agents, so we get paid from the carriers that we represent. So there's no charge to people when they meet with us to get information and to work with us. So yeah, there's no cost to them. We do make money. We get paid by the carriers.
It's not like it's too good to be true.
Yeah,
this is a real deal.
It's real. We're for real.
Yeah.
And so yeah, there should be real peace of mind in that, because there's we want people to be on the right plan. So I've oftentimes had people come to me and we look at their plan and we evaluate, and they're on a great plan for themselves. And there's just no reason to change that. We're not incentivized to change somebody's plan just because, but it's that service to the community that really motivates us.
You love what you do.
I do.
You
Yeah.
really do.
Yeah.
And you tell the story because you loved it from the moment you had your first client that you worked with.
The very first appointment, and I got skunked on it.
Yeah. But you loved it.
But I loved it. Yeah, it was. The woman that I met with, she was an older lady. I think she was 93 at the time, and we had a great conversation. And I just did my thing of educating her on her options. And at the end, she just asked me, "Hey, is there anything I have to do, Michael?" And I said, "Absolutely not. As long as you're comfortable with what you have, just know here's the pitfalls and blah blah blah." And she said, "Nope, I'm good." And so I left that appointment just feeling good, even though I paid for the gas to get there and all that stuff, but I left feeling good because I had accomplished what I set out to accomplish, and that's make her comfortable with what she was doing.
His number is 480-847-0701. This is a free service to you. And the other thing is, when you call, we started this a while ago,
Leave a message.
And to tell them why.
Yeah, so Medicare has a lot of rules to it. So all those phone calls you get during AEP that are unsolicited, you're not supposed to get those. So we abide by the rules, which means if you just call and don't leave a message, we don't know that you actually want to call back. We don't even know who you are. So leave a message. If you don't get somebody, we'll call you back. We just have to have what's called permission to contact in this business, and that's to supposedly to keep out those predatory practices. Which we know that those of you that get all those calls, we know that happens, but it's not from us.
His number is 480-847-0701. Call and leave a message, and he will help you. And if you're not in your area, he will help you get somebody that can help you because you have little Michaels that are under you.
Yeah, and that's important. Like we said earlier in the show, I've got agents around the country, and what we want to do is we want to make sure to get you plugged into somebody that, again, knows your local market, that works in your state and has worked in your state, or maybe it lives right where you live. If you live up in Prescott or down in Tucson or something like that, I'm not going to serve you directly, but I'm going to get you an agent that knows that market to serve you.
That's what's important.
Yep.
I've never asked you this question, so I'm going to ask it
Is
now.
this a quiz?
It's sort of. No, but you were talking about people who retire turning 65, right?
Yeah.
When should they call you?
That's a good question. Anytime is first of all
Every day's
the right answer.
Medicare Day.
So if you have questions, give us a call. We've talked to people a year out from when they're turning 65, obviously, and things like that. So, but the guidelines are when you're turning 65 or when you're going on to Medicare, you can start working on it 90 days out.
Okay.
Social Security and Medicare won't really do anything until 90 days. So that's about when you can start working on things.
And at least get an idea
Yeah.
so that you're not scrambling. That's another thing.
Yep.
But there's so many people that have so many questions when you're turning to what should I do?
Yeah.
Y'all get excited. We're going to get on Medicare.
Yeah.
And if
It's the
you're
best
going to
thing
retire,
going.
it is. And you know what? If you're retiring, you're also very excited. Get that information as soon as you can, about 90 days out, and make sure that you know what you're doing so what you could just, kind of have peace of mind is what I was thinking.
Why fret? Our finances go along with our medical care, and so let's take care of it and make sure that you've got good health.
The number to call is 480-847-0701. He services the entire Southwest. He is your seniors advocate. Call and leave a message. We'll be back in just a minute.
Woohoo!
Woohoo! Okay.
If they weren't listening, they are now.
Okay, we did that perfectly like that. Okay, so we're ready on the ancillary products.
Oh, great. What do I talk about there?
So-
Just teasing. Yeah. So, yeah, that's good. I think, people that turn, they don't know when to get this information, but I think people
I
forget.
thought that was a really good question
Yeah.
too, because when we talk about retirement, right?
Yeah.
And everybody's thinking like the year they're really excited now,
Yeah.
and they're starting to work up towards it. And I think that's something really good to mention, like almost every time retirement, or it's turning 65.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because people don't realize, and you read if you read articles on retirement, one of the big things that can impact your retirement is your costs, your healthcare costs in retirement, right? Because those aren't your your rent and your food are kind of a fixed cost. I mean, they're going to fluctuate with the price of food and things like that, but they're, for one person, it's kind of what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But medical costs, you can't predict super well, because what happened this year may not necessarily happen next year. Something
Right.
worse, or it could be a better year, or whatever. So the key is to make sure you have good medical coverage to help level out those expenses for your money. So
What about people that work on their own, the solopreneurs? Do you help them too?
sure.
Because they don't
Everybody-
know what to do.
Yeah, everybody qualifies for Medicare as long as they've paid into Medicare during their work years. You have to have paid in. You have to have worked and paid into Medicare 10 years, 40 quarters. You have to have 40 credits. So that's 40.
Do they count
40
the ones that
quarters.
you start working when you're a little kid?
As long as you paid in, as long as you got Social Security taken out of your checks, yeah.
Probably did.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't remember. It was
Yeah,
so long ago.
yeah. So, what people don't realize is when they work for themselves as a 1099 person, when you file your taxes, and I'm not a tax person, everybody,
No.
but you know that part of your taxes are this for Social Security and Medicare, even when you work for yourself. You just pay them
You
at the end
have
of the
to.
year, right?
Yeah.
So you are paying in even though you're working for yourself.
Yeah.
So most people that are independently employed or have their own business usually qualify for Medicare as
Yeah,
well,
too.
as long as they file taxes.
Yeah, well, that's a whole nother.
That's a different ballgame.
We won't
That's
go
not
down
me.
there.
That's not me.
Yeah.
So yeah,
This crazy little thing you call Medicare.
right?
Yeah, I like
It's
it.
a little crazy sometimes.
Yeah.
Just
I think
because
what we
people
should do
don't
one time
realize
is
that
make a little like blurb for you that
crazy
says
thing
that.
we call Medicare. We can make a song.
You know,
We
there's
need
a
a shirt.
song
we should
like
write a song.
right.
Yeah.
Well, there
Yeah.
is, and it would be perfect to do
Yeah.
that. I think you can. I don't know.
Put the shirt on.
Oops.
So welcome back, everyone. We're talking with Michael Henderson. Woo-hoo! He is the owner of Tapestry Insurance Group. We've been talking a little bit about Medicare, and every day is a Medicare day. During the break, we were talking about the people who are retiring or turning 65. Also, that I tell everybody, this is the truth about you. You are your seniors advocate, and you're all about servicing them. You're all about educating them. Educating means so much to you.
Yeah, you know, it really is about education. And when we think about a lot of things in our life, it's really, people don't make decisions because it's the fear of the unknown, right? So if we can take that fear out by educating and let you know what does Medicare cover, what doesn't it, now we can plug those gaps with something, you know, either a Medicare Advantage plan or Medicare supplement, depending on your situation. And that's where education, that information is empowering, right?
Yeah.
So that fear goes away.
And he services the entire Southwest. So if he's not in your area, he has people that work under him. They're all, I call them little Michaels. That if you have somebody in your area that understands your area, your the whatever you said,
Medical groups, the hospital
Right.
networks, you know, things like that. Yeah.
It's really important.
Yeah, it is important.
So his phone number to call, it's 480-847-0701. Leave a message, because if you don't, he can't call you back. Okay,
Yeah.
so let's go down to some of these things. I can say the word because I wrote it out. Ancillary
Yeah.
products. Let's talk about some of those.
Yeah, so I think, you know, we hadn't really talked about this in years, because I guess if I go back and explain a little bit, Medicare plans have gotten so good over the last 10 years that they did a lot. They had a lot of dental in them. They had, you know, very low co-pays and things like that when we talk about Medicare Advantage plans. When I started in this business years and years and years ago, the plans were great, but they weren't as good as they have been this last 10 years. Well, you know, the government's tightening their belt, so they're not reimbursing the carriers as much from Center for Medicare Services and things like that, but medical costs keep going up. So, unfortunately, the benefits sometimes have to change a little bit. Now, it depends on your area, where you are, so don't panic, but from 2025 to 2026, going into this year, we did see some benefit changes. So that brings up the ancillary conversation. If you're worried that your hospital copays are too high or something like that, let's look at a hospital indemnity plan. You know, let's look at something to help you with those coverages so you don't have to be in fear of high costs on your plan. You know, if your dental went away but you really value that dental insurance, let's look at a standalone dental plan, because then you can change your Medicare plan in the future without worrying about if it changes your dental and your dentist and things like that.
And
right?
I was just thinking,
Yeah.
because I know that there's so many different, I don't know what you call them, seasons of Medicare, that people might be thinking that you have to wait on this, okay? And I'm going to say probably not, right? Because it's important for you to, if you're listening here and something resonates with you, call him and make sure you can do that now. You don't have to wait, is my point.
Exactly.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, that's a really good comment, because we're used to talking on the show about enrollment periods, right? So we have annual enrollment period, we have open enrollment period, we have the rest of the year, which is called special election periods during the year that we have. But the ancillary products don't have enrollment periods. So if you're stuck on a plan and you need some comfort on your coverages, let's look at some ancillary stuff to help you with those coverages.
So, hospital, dental, vision, long-term.
Long-term
Let's
care.
talk a little bit about long-term care.
Yeah, so long-term care, long-term care is expensive, right? You know, when you, and Medicare is not meant to be long-term care. A lot of people don't realize that. But Medicare is health insurance, it's not long-term care insurance. So it doesn't pay for you to live in a facility as you get older. So long-term care insurance is a special insurance that you pick how much you want to pay out per month when you're living in a facility or something like that, and then that policy is designed that way. So they sometimes can be expensive, but you don't know unless you try it and check it out, right?
Yeah.
And that gives you some of that coverage. These facilities aren't getting any cheaper to live in as we get older.
Oh my
And
goodness.
so,
But the other thing is, when you said that Medicare only lasts a certain amount of time, or whatever.
well, it's health insurance, so it's not meant to cover like care
Right.
costs in a facility.
What I know what I was going to say. I changed that.
Yeah.
Okay. Rewind.
Rewind, back up.
But my mom, I remember, was in a facility to get stronger for something. Okay, and at some point she had to go home because they weren't getting any better.
Yep.
And I think a lot of people don't know that, because I remember my dad was like, "Whoa, I didn't know." So you know, of course, he brought her home.
Yep.
But what about things like that?
So skilled nursing facilities are definitely covered under Medicare, but you're right. You have to be making progress. So think of it this way: you go into a hospital, maybe for a hip replacement or something like that, or a knee replacement, or an injury. You go into sometimes a skilled nursing facility to start that rehab, to start that physical therapy and things like that. But insurance has to see progress. If you're not making progress, and there's no different with Medicare. I think Medicare wants to see progress. If you're not making progress, or you've gone too long, then they will want to try to send you home to continue that care. Skilled nursing facilities are meant to be short-term, kind of get back on your feet.
So what ancillary product could they have to cover them for after that, or does it pick up again?
That would be the long-term care could do that. There's also home health care policies that really work well, and they can be very inexpensive. Now with insurance, you can't oftentimes buy these after you have something that you need it for, right? It's like
that's right.
Well, it's like getting into a car accident and then buying car insurance after the fact.
That's very
You can't
true.
do that, right? So we have to.
You have to be prepared.
We don't have a crystal ball. We don't know, but we have to prepare for those events if
And that's where you come in.
That's why we want to just educate you what's available.
It's so important.
Yeah.
And again, it's a free service. I do not think that this is just too good to be true. It is true that he works where he gets paid by the carriers, and that's how they get paid. But it is a free service to you to find out, and having someone like Michael who can come in there and do all the work for you, help you understand. Yeah, that is the biggest part of the whole thing, is understanding what you might need.
Yeah, back, again, it goes to that education, but we're gonna ask you questions like, what doctors do you see? What doctors do you want to keep? What do your prescriptions look like? And that way we can take all that into account when we're looking at plans for you, because if we take a picture from just one angle, we don't see the whole picture sometimes.
True.
Right? So we got to look at your doctors, we got to look at your prescriptions. That way we can factor in an estimate of all the costs that we can look at anyway, and see what's there.
A lot of people, the older folks that are living here, and maybe their children live in another state.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Could you, let's say, do they call and like have a little three-way or whatever it is, so that, because a lot of people are living here by themselves, and especially the ones that they are timid to do things, right? Or I don't want to change anything, it's fine right now. you need to make sure that you have a consultation.
Yeah, and if it's
Because if they can save you money, that's really what it's all about right there.
If we can't, really it's about quality of care for the right cost, right?
Okay, yeah.
I mean, insurance isn't always going to be cheap, but there can be good quality care for a pretty reasonable amount of money. And a lot of the plans that we have in Maricopa County, some don't even have a monthly premium to them.
Nice.
Yeah, pretty incredible.
So,
So yeah, you're exactly right. Family can be involved. You know, spouses are oftentimes in the meetings with us. You know, when somebody's turning 65 or retiring, oftentimes children. Some parents don't want their children involved. Some do. Yeah, it just depends on the situation.
Right.
But that's what we're here for: is to help people understand and make sure they're on the right thing. And if a family member makes them more comfortable, so be it. We want people to know that they're in the driver's seat, not us. We're there presenting information, and then you're there to make the decision.
his phone number is 480-847-0701. Every day's a Medicare day, so if you have any questions, give him a call. I also wanted to just repeat what you just said because I really liked it. Quality of care for the right price.
Yeah, you know that's not always the easiest thing to do. What's the right price for one person is not the right price for another.
Well,
right?
that's a whole nother
But,
conversation.
yeah, exactly. But that's why we meet with people on an individual basis. You know, and really digging into to your situation and educating you on what's available for you.
We've talked about this before. Quickly, we'll say it.
Yeah.
You know, might ask your neighbor.
Yeah.
Because your neighbor might say, "Oh, I've got the greatest plan."
Best plan since sliced bread.
Yeah. But it might be good for him, but it might not be right for you. And the same thing goes even in your household.
Even for a spouse. Yeah. How often do you have the same medical conditions as your neighbor or even your spouse? And how often are you the same financial capabilities as a neighbor or somebody else in your neighborhood? So that's all that we want to take all that into consideration.
You have to do that. And the best thing to do is to give him a call. He is your seniors advocate. And this is a free service to you, so it really makes sense. And especially, are you turning 65? Are you retiring? You know, do you have different medications that you've been given? That has to be called. Do you have somebody that you can call and talk to and educate you? That's what Michael's all about. What are your final words?
Yeah, if you're planning for retirement, we oftentimes see people that are just looking to compare their employer insurance with Medicare after they turn 65. Sometimes we can save money from their employer plan too.
Yeah, so you see, you just never know until you make the call.
Yep.
So again, it's 480-847-0701. He services the entire Southwest. He's all about educating you and making sure that you have at least the best quality that you can of healthcare at the right price. Again, that number is 480-847-0701. Woohoo!
Another one down.